Hello! So it's been about 2 months since I last made a video on YouTube, and it's been about 2 months since I've really written anything, which for somebody who wants to complete the first draft of their novel by the end of the year, that's not really great. Yeah. It seems that work and some travel and getting sick and just general life stuff really happened over the past 2 months and has made me feel quite overwhelmed and anxious and stressed and generally unaligned from my creative self. And I've been, just trying to get through each day. But after a while, the burnout kind of developed into a bit of complacency where I just continued to doom scroll on my phone or veg in front of the TV and not really try to get back on the horse and tackle the goals and projects that I had been working toward. And instead of fueling the parts of myself in my life that I really enjoy, that really just continued the burnout, I think. And in this video, I kind of want to talk about getting stuck in that rut and then what I've been doing to get out of it recently. If you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Anne-Marie. I'm a writer and editor, and I like to talk about my personal goals and creative discoveries that I think are fun and interesting. So if you like that, consider sticking around. Oh, and back in May, my very first published piece of writing was released, published in the Icarus Writing Collective, a literary magazine all about mythic tales and mythic reimaginings. So it's so exciting to see my writing is actually getting out into the world, which was a goal of mine for the year. And if you're interested in sapphic, speculative, historical fiction set during Edo period Japan and featuring the mythological Spider-Woman Jorogumo, then please consider checking out my short story. Link is in the description below. And then also in May, I got the physical copy of the issue, which I have here. Ta-da! So it's so exciting to see my writing actually physically printed by somebody else. Da-da-da! So yeah, I'm just very excited that the editors at Icarus Writing Collective really liked my story and wanted to publish it, and it's definitely given me more motivation to keep going and try to publish more of my short stories. So in my last video, I reflected on a writing day which didn't really go as planned. If you're interested in watching the video, I'll put a link up here for you. What kind of resulted from the reflection is that the day was important, just as important as a productive writing day. I really needed that space and time for myself. And in one way, since then, I've really embraced that perspective, not being so hard on myself for whether or not I'm getting enough words. As I said before, I haven't done much writing, so this video is going to be a bit of the opposite of last video, in which still not beating myself up over it, but I need to light a fire a little bit to get myself back on track. Like, it's okay to take a break and take a step back, but when burnout becomes procrastination, that's when you become complacent in your goals, and I really want to avoid that. So, and this goes beyond just writing, like, since in these past couple months, just with the hecticness that is life, I haven't really put much priority on any of my personal hobbies. I mean, the two that I've really been the most consistent with is Japanese doing my classes because I have class every week. So I've been doing my coursework and not so much personal study, which I need to get back into, and exercise. And part of that was because while I was traveling, I was walking like 15 to 20,000 steps a day, which was awesome. And I loved how much I felt doing that. I got a little bit sick, so I couldn't really keep up. But since I've gotten better, I've been able to do about half that much, which considering juggling work is pretty good. And on top of that, in May I started, since the weather was getting nicer, I started the Couch to 5K program, which if you don't know, it's a 8-week or 9-week program where you build up from not running at all to running a 5K or running about half an hour. I'm on week 6 now, so I go about 10 minutes straight of running, which from 2 months ago of not running at all is really great. I ran a lot when I was younger, but I kind of wanted to get into it. I want to be outside more, so that's been really good. But those are really the only 2 hobbies that I've stuck with. Life is going to continue being hectic, and I need to be able to steer myself back on track and get back to doing the things that I really want to be doing, even amidst all of that craziness. And part of the procrastination is when a significant amount of time has passed from doing a project, that project starts to feel overwhelming and intimidating. And that's how I had been feeling about my writing. And being out of the habit of writing had made me feel less confident in my ability to write. So it was kind of a cycle that was feeding itself. On top of that, back in May, I had the realization that my story needs to be in a different perspective than what I had been writing it in. Not from a different character's point of view, but in first person instead of third person, which is an important realization, and I'm glad I caught on to it relatively early, but there's still a ton of words that I put down that need to be reworked, or just probably easier just to kind of start from scratch in a way, especially because the tone of the narration of third person is very different from a first person character focused tone. So that was another realization that was pushing me into procrastination to pick up writing again. Last week, I kind of decided that I needed to do something about this. I needed to get out of my rut and kind of ease my way back into a creative mindset. I wanted to tap into creativity that would help me beat the burnout and procrastination and the doom scrolling. And all of the things I'm about to talk about are not writing related, because for me, writing is tough. It's something that I really like to do, but it takes a lot of energy, a lot of headspace. I need to be in the right, get myself in the right mood to do it. But oftentimes what helps me to be creative in one area is to be creative in another area. So the first thing that I did was to get out and go someplace new, and kind of to break the habitual cycle of being in the same place. You know, I work from home, I work freelance. So much of my time is just spent at home or at the grocery store or other places that I frequent for my day-to-day life. So getting out and going someplace new was really important. I went to 2 places. I went to an antique shop. I was a bartender while I was in school, and I love making drinks, and I wanted to get some nice glassware from my bar, and I found some at this antique shop that I had been wanting to go check out for a while, which was really cool. And then I also went to a local art shop that sells extremely discounted art supplies, because all of the art supplies there are donated by locals, which is a really, really neat program. So at the art shop, I ended up getting a new craft to work on. I haven't started it yet because I've been doing other crafts, which I'll tell you in a minute. But I have always wanted to try embroidery. I've always been really, really interested in embroidery, but I never really wanted to take the money to buy all the materials and the tools and stuff, because I was like, maybe I won't like it. Maybe it'll be too tedious or something. But they had these embroidery kits, each for $1, and a hoop for $1, which was incredible. $3, and I can try a brand new craft. So that's amazing. I'm really excited to try that. And I'll put up a picture of the designs. The next thing I did was have a real feel-good, creative, and socializing time with one of my best friends. We ended up watching a movie together, and I watercolored, which I haven't done in a while. The place that I live in now is not where I grew up, and I've lived abroad for most of my adult life, so my friends are kind of all over the place, and I don't have close friends here where I live. So it was really nice to be able to chat face to face with one of my best friends and just to spend some quality time together. Very de-stressing, very relaxing, and a lot of fun. I always default to texting, but it's nice to video call and be able to see the person's face who you're talking to and hear their voice when you haven't heard it in a long time. Oh, and I'll put a video picture of the watercolor palette. I shared the process of making that earlier this year, but this is what it looks like finished. But it turned out super cute and it's super useful, very, very handy, and I love it. Another thing that I've done is to pick up a crafty hobby recently, and I really like working with my hands. I do really like pottery, which you saw with the watercolor palette. While I was traveling, I picked up this wall art sardine, which I thought was so cute. And I've now decided to make an army of sardines that I want to put up on my wall in a big display. I've finished molding them and they're currently going for their first firing, and then I'll have to paint them and fire them again, but I'm so excited to do that. And while they've been in the kiln, I have also undertaken another wall art project, and I made 2 geckos, which I want to paint in the Talavera pottery style from Spain and Mexico, which I think is just so beautiful, so colorful and fun. The pottery has been a great way for me to use my hands and get off the screen, so I've been really enjoying that. The last thing that's really helped me feel back to normal in my hobbies and creativity is reading for fun. I read for work. So oftentimes when I get done with the day, reading is not something I want to continue doing. So I found that the best way for me to pick up a book is to do so before I go to sleep while I'm sitting in bed. I'll have a nice little cup of tea and unwind, get off the screen. I've been reading Caleb's Crossing by Geraldine Brooks. I'm about halfway through. It's really, really great. It's a fictional tale based on the true story of the first Indigenous man to go to Harvard University. Really interesting, and it shares a lot of themes with the story that I'm writing. And takes place about 10 to 20 years before the events in my book, and also in New England, so very, very similar. Since doing these creative activities, even just from last week really, is when I really started to, I made the fish, maybe a week and a half ago, a little over a week ago, so it's not been so long since I've gotten back into doing more creative hobbies, but even since then, it's really helped my writing habit. Like I've written since, which has been amazing. And also I've been exploring different ways to write. For example, which isn't technically writing, I guess. Kind of like how audiobooks aren't technically reading, but they are. On my walks, I've been using the voice recording feature on my phone to write. So as I'm thinking about the story, and especially since the story is going to be in first person, so I'm really trying to get into the voice of my main character and what she sounds like, and it really helps to speak out loud to capture the character's voice. So that's been really, really helping. And then I can rely on that when I do have like my sit down writing sessions. I can replay that, write it down, and that gives me a jumping off point for more writing. So if you haven't done that, I really recommend. It's a really neat way to kind of get your head into the writing space. Let me know what activities you like to do to get back to your creative self. Thank you so much for watching this video. Until next time, bye!